Welcome to another episode of Millennial Investing Explained. Here's today's question. So for those listening to the show that might be new to real estate, can you explain what a triplex is and what a syndication is?
Sure. So a syndication is a process where you're looking to buy something that's institutional class, a large asset. So my next project is a Atlanta property that comes out in 15 days, and it's a $24 million property. Why am I buying a $24 million property? Why not buy basically a triplex, which is, it's a building that has 3 units, right? Triplex, quadplex has 4 units. Why not buy those? And the answer is scale. The problem with buying a duplex or a triplex or a quadplex is you don't have a property manager at the property. So you don't really have the level of control that you want. You have a property manager that's managing 1,000 units, and maybe sometime he'll pay attention to your triplex. When you buy a $25 million asset, you have 5 to 6 employees that work at the property. And many of them actually live in your apartment complex because you tend to offer them discounts if they live there, right? That makes their life easier and your life easier, because if there's a pipe that bursts at 11 o'clock, the maintenance guy just lives in one of the units. He's going to get there in 15 minutes, and you're going to save $100,000 on your laminate. So the level of control that you have on a 250 unit, $25 million property is in a completely different class from a single family rental, a quadplex, or even a small 5 or 10 unit property. And it's not just the level of control. It's the fact that you have efficiencies of scale. When you want to do a rehab on a 250 unit, you have 250 units to rehab. Guess what? You can choose to buy the laminate. Instead of buying it from Home Depot, you can choose to go to Alibaba.com and buy it in a single shipping container from China and basically pay half of what you would be paying at Home Depot, and have that shipping container delivered in the back of your property, just taking up 2 parking spots, and lock it with a padlock. And then whenever you need it, just go to the shipping container and take your laminate out. You realize just how insanely efficient that is? I mean, you're not running to Home Depot every single day. You've got all of this stuff in the back. You do the same thing with other pieces of equipment. When you're buying appliances, you don't buy one, you buy 30. You buy sets of 30. You wait for Best Buy to have a deal. You wait for, Price to have a deal, and you basically buy 20 or 30 sets. You get huge efficiencies of scale. Instead of hiring a contractor at $75 or $125 an hour, you hire a full-time employee at $20 an hour that is going to just do laminate in 250 units. Laminate today, laminate tomorrow, laminate next week. And basically that way you can roll out your upgrades. In our world, when we spend $7,000 on a unit, we're like, oh my God, we spent a lot. Imagine spending $7,000 on a single family upgrade. You'll be done with that in the first 3 days, right? In our world, $7,000 is a huge upgrade. We call it the premium upgrade. So I think that the efficiencies that come with large properties can only come if you're buying something that's really expensive, $20 or $25 million with 6 employees. Well, how do you buy that? I mean, no one investor has the money to pay $6 or $7 million down for a $25 million property. So what you do is you take $100,000 from 60 investors and you aggregate it together in one LLC, and you buy the property in the LLC. And then you give fractional profits, both cash flow and upside at the end, to those investors. And that is known as a syndication. And it's very, very popular in the US, especially since the 2014 Jobs Act that made it much easier to syndicate.
Yeah, that's a great example of what syndication is. And the efficiencies are, like you said, incredible. When you're buying at scale like that, you can negotiate such discounts. And again, you can kind of avoid the retail outlets like Home Depot and go directly to the source and get much better deals.
Not just for equipment, but also for staff. Right? Because if you are going out there to bring in a contractor, he's going to basically ask for $75 or $125 an hour. Plus, you don't have any control over him because he can just come and go as he pleases. But what if you had a guy who was basically working at the property from 9 to 5 because that's his day job? You can have the property manager or the assistant property manager just walk in twice a day to check to make sure he's doing his job. And you can pressure him and say, I need to show this unit by tomorrow morning. So even if you have to stay late today, this laminate needs to be completed because come tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I'm going to send in a cleaner. At 9 o'clock, I'm showing this unit. How do you do that with people that don't work for you?
That's all for this episode of Millennial Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.